Hello, my friends. I decided I'm only going to stream for a couple hours tonight. I didn't feel like doing a long stream today. I wanted to relax, kind of take a break, almost like a day off. But I made a promise that I would come back and play Knights of the Nine. I will not guarantee we're going to finish it tonight because, well, it's not a terribly long quest, but it is also not very short. So we're going to bring you guys in, introduce you to Thormund Ulfsson. Is a Nord. It's from the eastern parts of Skyrim. I like to think he is from, maybe Ivarstead or perhaps even Shorestone. But definitely, I'd say he's not from anywhere farther north than Windhelm. He could possibly be from the Rift, like farther south than Ivarstead, but yeah, I don't have a full backstory. I did just kind of birth him out of nowhere yesterday, but our class is Martial. Our birth sign is the Warrior. I put a couple of levels into him, mostly just going around the Remare and punching crabs. So our primary skills here, our major skills, are Armorer, because I want to play around with that a little bit more. Athletics, because alright, so with him being from a martial culture, I feel like being from a martial culture that your martial arts focus on weaponry and armor, you would know how to maintain your equipment. Take care of your equipment, it'll take care of you, kind of thing. Athletics is because, Skyrim is not an easy living kind of place, so he would have grown up farming or foresting, something like that. He would be in good shape, and carrying around all that armor and swinging a weapon, he needs to be athletic. But also we do get the benefit of our fatigue regenerating a little bit better, and also mobility, because believe it or not, you can actually find videos of this. A knight in like full plate armor was still quite mobile, quite agile. This kind of idea that they were big, clunky, slow kind of guys, not accurate. We got blade, we got blunt, and we got hand to hand. I feel like any Nord worth his salt should be able to swing a sword, an axe, or warhammer, or mace, or beat someone with his fists. I put a little bit more time into doing hand to hand because I think it's really fun in this version of the game, mostly because of the animation and sound. And also, we do at rank 50 at level 50. I keep saying rank, and I'm not sure why. At level 50, we get the ability to punch ghosts, so that's pretty cool. Heavy armor, because my other character is light armor, and I wanted to go for heavy this time around. Plus, that lets me kind of check out some of the heavy armor that I've been essentially ignoring on my other character. And restoration is the only magic I'm involved in. And that's because I want to be able to heal myself and potentially heal others as a knight. I feel like that makes sense. But we have not done much. We're like 5 days in. We have not done a lot of questing, as you can see. I did 0 visibility to get a free place to sleep. I did the tutorial, obviously. This is what we have in our quest log. And we are here in Anvil to meet the Prophet. Okay, I was going to RP walk, but...
How are you?
Let's see about old Wesley Johnson Lee.
Flea of assertion on a wolf of naught. It is by these heresies that you fall from grace. So, another one who has come to listen to the madman's rantings?
Tell me about the Anvil Chapel attack.
This is only the beginning. Umaril has returned, as foretold by Pelinal Whitestrake in his dying breath.
Umaril? Who's that?
Umaril the Unfeathered, the sorcerer king of the Aliens, who ruled over this land for long ages before the rise of men. He was cast down by Pelinal Whitestrake, but Umaril's spirit survived. And now he has returned to seek vengeance upon the gods.
Who is Pelinal Whitestrake?
Does no one remember the old tales? Saint Pelinal, the divine crusader of legend, Alicia's companion when she overthrew the rule of the Aliens 3,000 years ago. Pelinal, with the aid of the gods, fought the alien sorcerer King Umaril and slew him. But Umaril's spirit survived, and he has now returned.
Just tell me who attacked the chapel.
Do you understand nothing? The blood speaks. I can read the ancient runes if you cannot. As uibala, umarale el nada rakuva. In the alien tongue, by the eternal power of Umaril, the mortal gods shall be cast down. A curse upon Umaril's ancient foes, and a threat.
So how do we stop Umaril?
Alas, Umaril cannot be stopped. Not without the aid of the gods, not without the Crusaders' relics. Without a champion, the gods are powerless to act. But who among us is worthy to wield the divine Crusaders' weaponry?
I will quest for the relics.
You would quest for the holy panoply of Pelinal Whitestrake? The legendary relics that have been sought by mighty warriors throughout the ages? Are you a worthy knight?
I have no claim to fame.
A humble heart is a good starting point. The gods will decide if you are worthy to seek the relics.
How can I find the relics?
The gods grant insight to those they deem worthy. Why and how they act is not predictable. What I can tell you is that, traditionally, knights who wish to quest for the relics would walk the pilgrim's way, travel to the way shrines of the 9 divines, pray to each of the gods in turn, and ask their favor upon your quest. If the gods deem you worthy, you will be granted a sign. Go forth with the 9's blessings.
Okay, tell me about the pilgrimage.
Walking the pilgrim's way is the traditional start of a holy quest. Follow the map I gave you, visit the way shrines of the 9, pray, and wait for a sign.
Tell me about the 8 and 1, because I'm a Nord. Why subdivide my god?
Once there were 8 divines. Then Tiber Septim became Talos, and the 8 became 9. I followed the old way of honoring the 8 while also giving due to Talos, the one who ascended.
Tell me more about the Crusaders' relics.
The weapons and armor of Pelinal Whitestrake, Alicia's comrade, granted to him by the 8 divines. He went alone into the White Gold Tower, challenged the Ayleid sorcerer King Umaril to single combat, and slew him. Alas, Umaril was not truly slain, but only cast beyond the bounds of Nirn. And now he has returned to wreak his vengeance upon the gods, as was prophesied by Pelennor himself with his dying breath. Only a true knight, wielding the holy relics of the Divine Crusader, has a chance to defeat Umaril. But alas for Tamriel, the Crusader's relics have been lost for many an age. Who now can succeed in the quest for the relics, where the greatest knights of legend all failed?
Tell me about Umaril.
He was defeated but not destroyed by Pelennor the Crusader. Now he has returned to seek vengeance against the gods. Only a true knight, wielding the holy relics of the Divine Crusader, has a chance to defeat Umaril.
All right.
May the 8 and 1 guide your steps.
All right. Let's check out this.
Chapel of Dibella.
Look on this map. Okay. So we're here. If we go up the road, that's where we will find RK. This will also give us an opportunity to level some of our combat skills. So comparing that, we need to go somewhere in that area. I did consider doing the Fighters Guild before streaming this character. I kind of wanted to just get into it. I know it'll make the quest kind of easy at low level, but we're gonna have our high level fun soon enough. But we're just gonna have another little moment like we did before at the beginning of my other character, where we enjoy walking around and just kind of existing in this world. My money or my life?
Pay up or else.
Let's
Easily done.
go with or else. Sorry, this is my first day using a mace.
You move like a pregnant cow. What's the matter? Getting tired?
Just a silver mace. I actually like the look of it over this iron or steel mace. Probably, it actually does do a little bit more damage. But yeah, aesthetically, when I think of a mace, I think of something kind of like this. Also, it's nice to be back playing a normal character, so to speak, that's not limited to... Like, I think the Atronach sign is a really fun way to approach the game as a mage, or as a just somebody who can cast. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the road here for this shrine. I remember some of these way shrines. I remember there being something with, like, for some reason I remember the one for Kinnereth the most, where it's like there's like a bear you have to fight or something like that. But I don't. It's been a while since I've done Knights of the Nine. I did Knights of the Nine the last time I played Oblivion, but let's go up here and kind of get the lay of the land and see if we can spot the shrine from here. Well, not very helpful from this vantage point. There's an Ayleid well here. And it's interesting to me that the way shrines wouldn't be marked on the map. Because it very easily could be something marked on your map that you could fast travel back and forth to. I feel like I'm way off the road here. It seemed like it was closer to the road than this. Oh, there it is. Look upon my swings. Alright, so this is our first way shrine. Honor your body and spirit. Pray at my chapel altars to receive my blessings. I've prayed at the way shrine of Arche. So is that kind of as straightforward as it is? Okay, the next one is Mara. So if we go past Kvatch, but not quite to Skingrad. I actually think I know where that one is. I went through a phase a couple years back where I spent a couple of nights just reading essentially lore books and the like on the UESP and learning about the world of the Elder Scrolls. And, you know, throughout this stream series, I've talked about a lot about that I like these games, and I've talked about my problems with them and some of the things that I firmly believe are objective issues with these games. But I really enjoy this setting. It doesn't feel generic, even though I know I'm in... Of the games, I think this and Daggerfall have the most generic fantasy kind of setting, but I mean the actual setting of Nirn, of Tamriel, I enjoy learning about this world. I enjoy being in this world. And it's similar enough to other fantasy worlds in the right ways to kind of keep me coming back. Because one of the things I find, we spend time... Sorry, I have a place on my arm I needed to stop and scratch. But when a fantasy world has a continent or region that you spend all of your time in, whether it's Middle-earth and the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, or, you know, the Dragon Age games, you spend a lot of time in a small portion of the world. And as far as I know, like, you don't... There's large portions of the world you never go to. I still haven't played Dragon Age 2 or... Hang on a second. Okay. I don't know why suddenly my stream is dropping frames and having issues. I'm not sure why. Okay, so sorry if you're experiencing that on your end. Hopefully the VOD will not be... will not have those problems. Anyway. Oh, yeah, it's... Let's see if I refresh this on my end, if it'll be okay. Okay, we're okay. I have no idea why. I have very good internet, so... Alright. Back to what I was saying. I like when a fantasy setting... Or when in a fantasy setting, you spend a lot of time in one region, but you are told about other parts of the world. And that those other parts of the world are interesting. So, for example, in The Lord of the Rings, you have... you know, lost regions of the world. You have, you know, where the elves came from. There's something beyond Middle-earth. And even if you look at the... Even if you look at the map of Middle-earth, like the traditional map of Middle-earth, there's land beyond what you can see. And there are people there. We experience people from there being in that part of Middle-earth. So it's, you know, it's intriguing. It makes you wonder, like, what's out there? What is that part of the world like? Look at that. We can see Skingrad from here. So another example is with A Song of Ice and Fire. It's the fact that in the north, beyond the wall, you know, we know a bit about that part of the world, but there's more beyond it that's not mapped. And then, if you go over to Essos, again, there's entire parts of the world that aren't mapped, that are, you know, subject to legend and myth, and that most of their history is in the past. Those areas are very intriguing to me. There's also this idea of what lies to the west of Westeros. And of course, that kind of parallels a certain point in human history where the people of Europe wondered what was west of them. And some of them may have even said, there's nothing west of us. It's just, you know, endless sea. It's the end of the world, you know, whatever it may be. But eventually they found that new to them part of the world. And I just think that's very interesting as a kind of concept to include in your fantasy setting, is to have these similarities, these people that wonder what is to the west. And there is also an interesting kind of parallel with Middle-earth's mythology of, you know, sailing into the west being, you know, kind of a metaphor for the afterlife. But, alright, do you want to fight? Come here, I need to hit somebody with this mace. Oh, I love how they will, like, 0 frame heal themselves. Your money or your life. Alright, but anyway. There is this similarity in Elder Scrolls, where you have, for example, Akavir. And while I can't remember it, there is a, like, lost city, like lost islands kind of thing. It's where the Redguard are originally from. And that's very intriguing to me. There is this idea, I think that may be our way shrine. There is this idea that, you know, men... What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing, Key Cat?
I'm just warming up, you...
I'm just warming up. Dies. Where'd your Warhammer go? Where'd it go? Where is it? There it is. So yes, you have this whole concept, this whole idea of lands that we never see, we never explore. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic there. We see that in Tolkien, we see that in A Song of Ice and Fire, and we see that in Tamriel, in the Elder Scrolls. Oh, this is a way shrine of Talos. Not what I was looking for, but I wonder if it counts. Here we go. And that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to this series, is this world truly is, in my opinion, one of the greatest fantasy settings of our time. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a shame to see the kind of decline in quality in this series and with Bethesda's other games. Like how we got from this game and Morrowind before it and Daggerfall before that, how we got from that to Starfield is very sad. And like I was thinking about this earlier, one of the reasons why Starfield didn't land with me is there's something about Cyrodiil. There's something about Vardenfell. There's something about Skyrim that keeps me coming back. That makes me want to stay. That makes me want to live in that world for a couple hundred hours every year. And it's the world. You know, the games aren't perfect. And they're not horrible either. But at least when it comes down to it, you can ignore everything and still have an adventure and still live in this world. And I was watching a video earlier, somebody was reviewing Skyrim, and it was an excellent video, and it's one of those that I would very much recommend this person. I'll go ahead and say it was Private Sessions. I highly recommend his videos. They're excellent, very well done, and his voice is one of those voices that's really comforting, very easy to kind of fall asleep to. But anyway, here we go, Shrine of Mara. But he was talking about people struggle to define what these Bethesda games are because they aren't really role-playing games. And I disagree with that, at least with Morrowind, Skyrim, and Oblivion. These are role-playing games. It's just you have to find that role to play. You have to find it. And for me, like I've mentioned this before, one of my favorite playthroughs of Skyrim was I said, I'm not going to touch the main quest. And that's not because it's bad or anything like that. It's just, I'm not going to touch the main quest. I don't want dragons in my world. I'm going to explore this world as a rogue. I'm going to do the Thieves Guild. I'm going to, steal things when it makes sense for me to steal. I'm just going to engage in acts of skullduggery, right? And then eventually, I'll have my fall from grace and I'll become a murderer of the Dark Brotherhood. And that playthrough is one of my favorite playthroughs because I played a role. I didn't let my character be a jack of all trades. I wasn't proficient in every skill that made sense for me to play everything. And I didn't play the College of Winterhold. I didn't do the Companions. I didn't do anything but Thieves Guild, and Dark Brotherhood, and the side quests that made sense for me as a thief to do, or as a rogue to do. And again, like that, living in that world without dragons and as that character was excellent. You have the tools in these games to play like that. You just have to seek it out a little bit harder. And I think when people say these games aren't role-playing games, what they're really saying is it's about mechanical depth. It's about meaning of their choices and consequences. It's about reactivity in the world, and it's about being given tools like backgrounds, flaws, traits, things like that to really express your character. Because I can say my character is a rogue, and I can do rogue quests, but most of that is completely internalized, and there's not a lot of external things within the game to develop that role-playing. I think that's what people really mean. But anyway, let's look at... So Dibella is up here near Coral. We've already done Talos. Oh yeah, Kinnereth's is the one that's the most out of the way. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fast travel to grab Dibella, Akatosh, and Zenithar, and then I will walk down and get Stendar. And if I have something close to Julianos, I'll get that, and then we'll get Kinnereth last. Alright, so we need Dibella. I think this is one of those things this is mostly a just for expediency thing. I don't want to be walking all night. Okay, so it looks like it was in this area out here, right? Let's find a vantage point. Oh, and we do need to level up. There it is. But I want... One thing I do agree with from Private Sessions video, and I've definitely had this thought, and I know other people have had this thought, that Bethesda excels at crafting these incredible game worlds. And that's what was missing from Starfield, was the game world. Like, it wasn't so simple as to just ignore the main quest or faction quests and kind of live the life you want to live in Starfield, because at the end of the day, especially given all of the loading screen issues, you know, going through like 57 loading screens just to go somewhere, it falls flat. Alright. It looks like we need to go somewhere over this way. But yeah, this feels like home. Feels like home for a Nord like me. Alright, now here's a little tidbit about me. Here's a little thing that, one of the reasons why I connect with games like this so well. The first time I played an Elder Scrolls game was Oblivion, and I played it before Skyrim came out, and I was drawn to playing a Nord for some reason. I'm not sure why. I was drawn to playing a Nord, and I chose to be a Nord, essentially a warrior, and I had a good time with that. And when I got Skyrim, I started as a Nord, and I was a warrior, and I had an axe because I thought axes were more interesting than swords. And also there's also a little bit of a, you know, Viking kind of thing. Like, I feel, oh, hey, right here. I feel like we associate Vikings with axes more than swords, even though they were swordsmen. So, all right, Dibella or not Dibella? Akatosh, yes. But later on, I found out that that's my ancestry, or my ancestry is Celtic, like Celtic/Gaelic and Nordic. And what I kind of realized was places like this, like what we're looking at right now, these places have always felt like home to me. Skyrim feels like home to me. I've traveled coast to coast in the United States. I've been to the Appalachian Mountains, I've been through the Rockies, and I've been in the Olympics. And places like that feel like home. The mountains feel like home. Alright, Zenithar is north of Breville. So having something like that that lets me connect with these games is really meaningful for me. That I feel like when I'm playing a Nord, and actually because of my Celtic, Gaelic, like Norman French ancestry, I connect with Bretons a bit too. So I can understand, you know, like I know some people don't like fantasy. So a game like this may not attract them to begin with, but even if they kind of, you know, oh, my buddy's been talking about this game, I want to play this game. Like, imagine it's 2006 and, you know, your options for Xbox 360 gaming are Halo and Call of Duty, and look, he got his paw on it. He got his little paw on it. I feel like I should not kill this wolf on the shrine. But having a connection like that with a game really goes a long way. Okay, Stendarr is between Breville and Leyawiin. We'll actually walk this one. I mean, you know, recently I got back into Dungeons and Dragons after a couple of years away from it. And one of the things that really helped me... What the heck? That's weird. One of the things that helped me regain interest was Baldur's Gate 3. I had tried to play Baldur's Gate 1. I've made it a little ways into it. I enjoy the setting of the Forgotten Realms. I like, genuinely. I hate the Infinity Engine combat. So it's very hard for me to get into something like that. And even when I heard about Baldur's Gate 3, I was like, oh, you know, this is potentially something I could find myself getting into. But then I heard it was turn-based combat, and at the time I was like, oh. You know, because I grew up, the RPGs I grew up playing were like this. So turn-based combat was kind of a turn-off. But what ended up happening is I played the first Fallout game, and then the second. And I fell in love with turn-based combat. And it's interesting because Fallout 1, its combat is very... I think it's very unforgiving if you're not into a system like that. But I fell in love with it. And then when I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, the system just clicked. And it really helped with my understanding of like 5th edition D&D, and helped me understand like what I like in a role-playing game's systems. So, yeah, very, very much a fan of that setting, the Forgotten Realms. And after I platinumed Baldur's Gate 3, it's made me have this desire to, you know, if I could fall in love with turn-based combat from Fallout 1, maybe I can persist and come to appreciate, or at least tolerate, the Infinity system, or Infinity Engine's like combat system. However, I really wanted to play Pillars of Eternity, and I bounced off of it for the same reason I bounced off Baldur's Gate 1. And then I come to find out earlier, oh yeah, just a few weeks ago, we have this situation where the developers at Obsidian are adding turn-based combat into Pillars of Eternity 1. And then I found out that apparently they already did that with Pillars of Eternity 2. And that instantly, just my interest in those games skyrocketed. Because I love a good fantasy setting, I love with good writing and good characters, and I love turn-based combat now. Alright. Let's consult that map again. So we're right about here. We need to go about where the land meets. About right here. So I think one of my goals later in the year for this channel will be to visit stuff like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And try to kind of overcome my feelings about the Infinity Engine's combat. And I think part of the reason is I got really used to, as a babby gamer 15 years ago, I got really used to situations where I was not really being challenged. And kind of an outcome of that is I'm not used to, or haven't been used to, having to make multiple attempts at something. Beyond like a Dark Souls game, right? But what I mean is, there is this apprehension about failure that comes from playing games like what I'm playing right now. You're not used to failing in the same ways. So what you end up with in a game like Baldur's Gate 1 is there's a lot of situations where it's like, well, I failed here and I need to reload my save. And you're either not saving enough, so you're getting set back hours of progress, or you're just not persisting through that challenge. So there's an element of that is what happened with me with Baldur's Gate 1. But I would like to, this year, one of my goals is to get through some classic RPGs. Baldur's Gate, maybe Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, KOTOR, KOTOR 2, and then probably some modern classics as well. So that just gives you, dear listener, a little bit of insight into the future of the channel and kind of my opinions on some stuff in RPGs. Stendar. Okay. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So we have done everything but Julianos and Kinnereth. So what do we have near that? Memorial Cave, and then the Julianos is somewhere around here, and then Kinnereth is somewhere out over here. We'll consult the. Yeah, it's near that. So we'll go to Memorial Cave. But you know, in the past 2 years is where I started to fall in love with some games that I never thought I would ever approach, like Morrowind. And I think one thing that helped with the approachability of Morrowind is OpenMW. It's the fact that, like, realistically, when it comes down to it, if you've played Oblivion, you've played Skyrim, or you've played, you know, Fallout 3, New Vegas, something on this engine, Morrowind ends up feeling a lot more familiar than you think. Hey, come here. I'm gonna offer up my life instead of my money. Notice that I'm using blunt, and now they have blunt weapons. They're still not carrying... They're still not carrying... or wearing heavy armor, though. Okay. It's like the two roads come like that, and then this one goes down like that. Two road. Okay, so it's somewhere over here. But my love for fantasy games like this, and for RPGs with, you know, good writing, good characters, there it is, and mechanical depth, like good RPG systems, like game systems, has really made me long for more RPGs like this set in other IPs. So, for example, it would be incredible to have a proper role-playing game set in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Okay, see how this comes up and there's like a little point? It's pointing. So, this comes up and there's a little point. Oh yeah, it's like around here. Okay. So we'll walk that way. I would love to see a really good role-playing game in the Bethesda or BioWare style set in Song of Ice and Fire. I would love to see one set... Look at this nonsense. I would love to see one set in Middle-earth. And people tell me, oh, well, there's been games set there. And it's like, yes, but what I'm saying is, why are there not more? Like, yeah, I can go play a game that was on the PlayStation 2, you know, or I can play an old PC game, no problem, but where are the new games in those settings that fit in genres for those settings? And the answer is they don't want to make them, because these IPs are cash cows. They are licenses to print money. So, if you have a license to print money off of one of these IPs, then the best way for you to print money and drive profit is to chase trends, which is why the newest Song of Ice and Fire game is a mobile game. And I've heard people say it's not terrible, but it's not something I'm going to want to engage in, because it's a mobile game. That doesn't land with me. And I think there's also an element of, like, when we talk about The Witcher, you have this great series of books, and you have these great games. You have these great games, but you don't have a lot of bad Witcher content beyond the TV show. I would be interested to see some of the, what would be to me, foreign language. Also, look at this lady. She's wearing leather armor, but she's got a skirt. Like, look how, this is just unique. The fact that she's not wearing a matching set. Like, her clothes almost tell a story. But I would, you know, you can really engage with the Witcher series, with the games or with the books, and there's so much good there for you that it's easy to kind of, the Netflix show kind of sucks, no big deal. We still have a lot of good Witcher. And with the Lord of the Rings, you've got the books, you've got the movies. There's not a lot of bad Lord of the Rings out there. There are those kind of weird cartoons they did in the 70s, and of course there's Rings of Power, but again, there's more good Lord of the Rings than there is bad. You don't have that so much with Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones because, the books are excellent, but George won't finish them. And there's not been any good Song of Ice and Fire games other than maybe the Telltale game. Oh no. What will we do? But the Telltale game is a Game of Thrones game, not a Song of Ice and Fire. And there's not a lot of good Lord of the Rings games either. I'm a big fan of the Two Towers PS2 game. I know friend of the channel, Sam, my good friend Sam, he's a big fan of those games as well. Those PS2 era kind of like action kind of RPG games. Those are great. Love them. There it is. Love them. But, and there's like maybe an RPG from that era where you play essentially as kind of a RPG party that's kind of following after the Fellowship and what they're doing. You've completed the pilgrimage of the 9 way shrines and gained the power of Pilgrim's Grace. Let's see what that is. Well. Oh, well, it said power, so is it like a... Yeah, okay. Fortify your stats. Okay, and it's a greater power. That's cool. So I guess... Now we need to go... Maybe yeah, I was going to say maybe it just needs a second. Update. I've completed my pilgrimage to the way shrines of the divines. I should pray and wait for a vision to guide me on my quest for the Crusader's relics. Uh-oh. We're in cutscene mode. There he is.
Have woken me from my endless dream. Or perhaps you have entered my dream, and I still sleep. I think others have sometimes spoken to me. Others like you, but my memory is doubtful. Perhaps the others came after you. Your need must be great for the gods to allow us to speak. Has Umaril the Accursed found a way back? The foulest of a foul race. 1,000 curses upon his unholy name. I thought I'd won, but I should have known. The slave masters are a cunning breed. Umaril found a way to cheat death as I could not. If you would seek for my relics, I know little that can help you. All that has passed since my death is like mists that my mind cannot take hold of. My friends built a shrine upon the site of my death, where the elves tormented me in a final act of revenge. I can show you where it once stood. Perhaps it is there still. Fare thee well, Sir Knight. May the gods grant you
Look at him look side to side.
destroy Umbriel utterly, as I failed to do.
You know, we joke about Oblivion being the Wes Johnson game, but Pelinal and the Prophet and Sheogorath really show, you know, while you can listen and go, yeah, this is all Wes Johnson, it kind of shows his range in a really good way. Upon completing my pilgrimage to the Way Shrines, I received a vision from the Divine Crusader, Pelinal Whitestreak. He revealed the location of his lost shrine, which is where I should begin my quest for the relics of the Crusaders. Or the Crusader. Okay, what do we... okay. I know some people tend to be down on this as a piece of DLC content and as a expansion for the game, but I remember really liking this the first time I played the game. I like the kind of role-playing conceit of it. Okay. I don't know. We've got to swim out here too. I don't remember this part. I think it says something, considering that I have a fairly decent memory. The fact that there's a lot of this that I don't remember. Like, they didn't stick with me. Uh-oh. I was about to be sticking with myself to death. Why am I sneaking? I am a knight. There is no space in my brain for skullduggery. I face my enemies head on and bash their skulls in. And of course I take from the ancient foe. Where'd that skeleton go? There he is. Boy, was corner camping. You want some? Yeah, I also enjoy using a mace for a character like this over sword and board. There's just something simple about it, right? You coming? Okay. wood door to the Shrine of the Crusader. Also, these are good skeletons. What we got? Hole in the wall to more skeletons. Why can't I fit? I've found the body of Sir Amiel, who appears to have perished centuries ago while questing for the Shrine of the Crusader. Perhaps I can find some clues on his body that will help my own quest for the Crusader's relics. We got his ring, his key. Sir Amiel was a member of the Knights of the Nine, a holy order devoted to recovering the relics of the Crusader. Through reading his journal, I have learned the location of their former headquarters, the Priory of the Nine in the Westweald. Or Weald? Probably Weald. Once I've recovered the helm from the Shrine of the Crusader, I should proceed to the old Priory. According to Sir Amiel's journal, the helm of the Crusader is located in Pelinal's Shrine. Hey man, that ain't nice. Although oh great, let's just not even. Amazing. Great job, Oblivion Remaster. Alright, so we're doing 7. We'd be doing... Oh, now it shows up. I'm not a big fan of the shield design. Well, not necessarily the shape, but just the smallness of it, you know? That is a gorgeous sword, though. So we're going to just sword it. Come here, skeleton. Don't give up. Just look at this sword. It's beautiful. I think it would be a huge upgrade to these games if there was, with the blocking, like if there was a block and parry system that was a little bit more in depth. It's just the other side of, kind of. It's kind of the other side of where I was. Door to the Lost Catacombs. So one thing I've been kind of meditating on recently is I feel like a lot of our favorite RPGs, kind of classic RPGs, are the result of people... Okay, like the Iron Tower games are a result of developers with a deep understanding and specific... Sir, where did you go? Okay. Deep understanding and strong definition of what makes an RPG, and that comes from them being fans of, you know, the first Fallout games, you know, the first Baldur's Gate games, things like that, and that very much shaped their game design. And I think about a lot of the people who worked on games like Elder Scrolls and how they were Dungeons and Dragons guys. but like very specifically, like they were from the AD&D era. And I can't help but wonder if one of the reasons why we have seen a decline with some of the big RPG IPs is because we have gamers that are developers that grew up with games like these, but didn't really grow up with games like D&D, that grew up in that time where there was like that drought in 4th edition D&D. I don't know. But look at this framing of this. I've recovered the helm of the Crusader, the first piece of the Crusader's relics. Now that I've recovered the helm, I should proceed to the Priory of the Nine to see if it still holds the cuirass of the Crusader. Let's see what's in this jewelry box. Okay. Now becomes a question of how do we get out of here? Do we get a shortcut out of here? Also, yes. This is going to be a rare instance of me playing with a helmet on. It just feels right, you know? Is this not where... Oh yeah, we came from like there and then drop... Okay. Wait, make sure there's no... You know, I was talking about blunting it up. And now I've got this sword. Oh, I do know I'll get a mace eventually, but... Oh. Uh-oh, we've got a ghost. I don't think we can... Nope. We're just gonna have to flee the ghosts. Well, I do have a silver mace. I was just talking about abandoning the mace, and this ghost showed up. Okay. We'll keep this out just in case we need it. I was gonna say, I think we're above where we were before. And we are. But I think this is... I think the intent is for us... Oh, there's a chest over there. I think the intent is for us to drop down. And go out the way we came. Or actually... Yeah, I've definitely been through here. Maybe this is where I came in? Okay, yeah. I have to remember to go level up. Well, I mean, I imagine... Here we go. Ah, come on. Just hung up on something. I imagine we get a bed at the Priory. I just never used it as a player home, you know? Unfortunate thing about the graphics in this, you don't really perceive the top. Like, you don't really perceive the surface of the water. Look at him. Come here, buddy. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright. Do we have it as a fast travel? Nope, we actually have to get to it. I'm going to go out of Skingrad to get there. The objective marker is showing there. Kind of a silly thing that happens with this engine and how it plots quest markers. And I've noticed that, like, I had a hard time with that in Fallout 3. Because the quest markers will lead you... It's not that they lie to you or anything, it's just, there's a certain feeling that you are not going the right way. Because you're like, oh, I need to be heading this way to get there. But the way, especially like the subway tunnels are, the metro tunnels in DC, the way they're set up is it becomes very labyrinthine very quickly in Fallout 3. But yeah, look at us with our winged Crusader's helm. And I'll also feel a lot better once we get some cool... Also, just look at this. I love... This remaster has really helped me fall in love with Oblivion the way I love Skyrim. I think it says a lot for a series like this when, like, I started at Oblivion and then played Skyrim. And then it took me quite a few years, but I've, gone and played Morrowind. And Morrowind and Skyrim and Oblivion are such wonderful experiences that I want to play Daggerfall. Even though I know Daggerfall has a very different approach than these games. Like the first two Elder Scrolls games and the rest of them are different series in a lot of ways. Like, it's the same series, but different design philosophies. And, like, you could say the same thing when it comes to Fallout. You kind of have the classic game philosophy of Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas, and then you have the Bethesda philosophy of 3, 4, and 76. And there's people that grew up with 3 and 4, maybe, that... they're always going to prefer it over the old games. But what I would ask any of you, like listening to this or whatever, watching this, what I would ask you to do if you grew up on Bethesda's Fallout and Bethesda's Elder Scrolls is to go back and give the older games a chance. Well, in the case of Elder Scrolls, go back and play Morrowind. Go back and play Daggerfall. It's okay if you don't play Arena. I won't judge you there. But when it comes to Fallout, play Fallout 1 and 2. Oh, this place is a mess. Y'all live like this? Sleep for an hour. Oh, and the music. Oh, I could just go on and on about how good the music is. I'm just going to pick up all of these books because I know this place will get reset. And I feel like if these books are here, it's for a reason, right? I'll probably read them off stream because I don't have the energy and I can feel my voice waning. Okay, wait. There we go. Sir Amiel's ring fits perfectly into the diamond-shaped opening in the floor. We have a forge here. Iron weapons. Oh. There's just Knights of the Nine armor here. There it is. Oh, I love the framing of this so much. Hello, gentlemen.
By the strength and guidance of the Nine, who comes before us upon this sacred ground, seeking the cuirass of the Divine Crusader? Step forward, adventurer, and face us each in honorable combat. For the vows we fail to revere in life, we shall uphold in death. No unworthy soul shall lay hands upon this sacred artifact without the leave of the Knights of the Nine.
Come on, Greg. Come on, Greg. See, joke's on you. You're a ghost. Who's next?
You are defeated. Sir Casimir, step forward.
Come on, Casimir. Alright, boys. You ready to keep going? I can do this all day.
Impressive. You have bested Sir Casimir. Now face Sir Ralphus.
Knocked him into the Shadow Realm, it seems.
Sir Ralphus, you have fallen. Step back and let the challenge continue. Sir Henrik, come forward and prove yourself.
I'll do this with broken armor. You think I need that?
You have overcome half of us, and yet you remain standing. Perhaps Sir Caius shall test your true mettle.
Alright, which one of you boys is it? They called me Tormund Ghost Puncher. I'll do this bare-handed. You think I need weapons to beat you, ghosts?
Centuries, but now you face Sir Junkin.
Junkin is an amazing name. Come here, Sir Trashman. Come on. Koroth, are you a Nord like me? Let us face each other in combat. Consider your ghosts thoroughly punched.
You have stood against the Knights of the Nine and lived. However, the final test is upon you. Ready yourself, Sir Knight, and face me!
Put him up. Let's go. Let's go.
Stood against us and lived. Step forward and claim what is yours by right. May your faith be true.
Give me the armor, my friend. I've defeated the ghostly guardians of the how did he say it? Cuirass of the Crusader. I can now claim it for my own. I've recovered it. I should talk to the ghosts of the former Knights of the Nine to see if they can aid me in my quest for the remaining relics. Let's put it on. Look at that. We already look better. Oh, I love the way this armor looks. Oops. Alright, Sir Amiel, what can you tell me?
By the Nine, I've not seen such strength. Could you be... No, you cannot. You are simply a noble knight.
Tell me about the Knights of the Nine.
The original Order of the Nine was founded with the intention of safekeeping the Crusaders' relics. In life, we failed at this task. In death, we seek to preserve what little we accomplish while we wait for one to come and finish what we began.
Tell me about Sir Beric.
One of the mightiest knights of my day. It was a great boost to the Order's prestige when he joined. Unfortunately, he and I did not see eye to eye on certain matters. He left the Order during the War of the Red Diamond and never returned.
Tell me about the Helm of the Crusader.
You completed the quest that I could not. I'm glad that my death at least served to lead you here, as I had hoped. May your sword strike true.
Okay. Their swords disappeared, so they're just ready to hold hands.
Greetings, Sir Knight. Alas, my old comrade is not among us here. We do not know why his spirit did not join us here to guard our last relic. We were estranged in life, but I had hoped that in death we could be reconciled. For my part, I now know that I am largely to blame for the ruin of the old order. Sir Amiel takes too much upon himself. I will say no more. In death, we continue the work that escaped us in life. The relics must still be guarded, for someday they shall be needed once more.
That might be today.
May your sword strike true.
I wish to see you succeed where I failed. I was on the path to the boots of the Crusader, but died before I reached them. Do you wish to learn what little I know?
Yeah, hit me with it.
I cannot tell you exactly how to find the boots, for that will be up to Kinnereth. I can tell you to seek out her priests, though. West of the Imperial City, on the edge of the Great Forest, is a shrine. You will find them there, and they will tell you what you need to know. The boots are safeguarded by Kennereth herself. You must be tested and prove yourself worthy to acquire them. The wars of men undermine the service of the Nine. Do not follow in our mistakes. Walk with the Nine, Sir Knight.
I am at your service, Commander. Complacency proved to be our greatest enemy. The service of the Nine requires eternal vigilance. May your sword strike true.
How may I serve you, Commander? The boots have been guarded by Kennereth herself for the longest time. Sir Junkin went after them and never returned. In matters of faith, one cannot be bogged down in the affairs of this world. Learn from us. Cast aside your treasures and serve the Nine. May your sword strike true.
If you are true to the teachings of Julianus, it may be possible for you to find the shield of the Crusader. When the Order crumbled, I set out on my own. After years of searching, I found the shield and brought it to Fort Bulwark for safekeeping. With the help of a few trusted friends, I began work to keep the shield safe for all eternity. I never saw my work finished. I died defending the fort from those who would take and misuse the shield. I never saw our work finished. I trust that the others carried on without me. It lies in the southeast of Cyrodiil, near the Black Marsh border. If all went according to plan, it should be very well guarded now. Believe in yourself, and use your knowledge wisely. You will pass through unharmed, and the shield will be yours. History and knowledge are his domain. He is the god of wisdom and logic. He teaches us, know the truth, observe the law. When in doubt, seek wisdom from the wise. Though we went our separate ways when the Order fell, we all served the Nine in our hearts. All but one. The shield is safeguarded within Fort Bulwark. It is protected, and care must be taken when attempting to find it. May the Nine guide your way.
You have my tribute, Sir Knight. In 300 years, none have passed the gauntlet. In 300 years, we have never known hope. But for the first time, it seems that someone may succeed where we have failed. I see in you the chance to redeem our souls and restore the Order. And now, I must ask you to press forward where I could not. I must ask you to face the challenge of Zenithar. I was arrogant and foolhardy. I sought personal glory. I placed my own will and my own lust for fame over the will of the Nine. In facing the challenge of Zenithar, I failed. I tried dozens, no hundreds of times to reach the mace. I fell each time. And each time I awoke in the chapel, I leapt again. I tried to enlist the help of the other knights, but none would come to my aid. The inscription says to walk in the faith. But even now, I do not know what this means. Below the chapel of Zenithar and Leowyn, there is a shrine to the great craftsman St. Calidus. Those seeking the mace must pray before the shrine. When you bow, you will receive a vision, or perhaps not. It is unclear. The priest saw that my body never moved, but it felt so real. You will see the mace, separated from you by a great chasm. The chasm represents your doubt. Your faith must be your guide across it. This is what I know. As I said, my faith was weak. I did not understand the test, and I fell from the platform each time I tried to cross. I have told you all that I know. All that is left is for you to prove yourself more worthy than I. If you seek the mace, travel to Leowin's chapel, kneel at the shrine in the Undercroft, and let your faith in the Nine be the salvation of us all. Our greed for the relics overshadowed our faith in the Nine. I can only hope that you are stronger than we were. Legends say that when Pelennor Whitestrake was slain by the Aelids, a messenger carried the mace to the human settlement of Leowin as a message. Centuries later, the master craftsman St. Calidus built the Chapel of Zenithar in Leowin as a tribute to the legend. When St. Calidus was laid to rest, those who prayed to Zenithar at his tomb began to receive visions of the mace of the Crusader. Of the original divines, Zenithar is thought to be the most in touch with the mortal realm. Some legends say that Zenithar has close ties to Kinnereth, an idea that is supported by the manner in which the two gods' realms interact. Craftsmen devoted to Zenithar are able to create and profit from the materials provided by Kinnereth's natural world. The two work in harmony, the natural world providing for the craftsman. One cannot revere Zenithar without acknowledging the power of Kinnereth.
So something that strikes me about this, I originally said that their swords had disappeared, but what I realized is it is like they are kneeling before you and they are presenting their hand for you to help them up. Because there is a theme here of you are helping to redeem these failed knights.
May the Nine guide your way.
I know where you may find the gauntlets of the Crusader, for I was the one who lost them. Though many know where they are still lost. I believe there is something you must do in order to retrieve them. Would you listen to my tale and learn of the gauntlet's fate? When the Order fractured, I followed Sir Beric into war, taking the gauntlets with me. When it was over, I returned to Cyrodiil. I attempted to return to the service of the Nine, but the war had changed me. I no longer had sympathy for the weak or pity for the suffering. In the brief time I was there, I did more to hurt the chapel than help it. It was there that I was cursed. A beggar who came to the chapel each day for help tried my patience one too many times. I lost my temper and struck him. My blow landed harder than I had intended, and he fell to the floor dead, killed in the very chapel of the God of Mercy. I left the chapel at once, of course, but the damage was done. I was weak, constantly weary, and lacked the energy to do almost anything. Ah, yes. As proof of the deed, when I struck the poor man, the gauntlets slipped right off my hands and fell to the floor. Heavy as stone, they would not move. None could lift them. I suspect they lie there still, in Coral's chapel. You must prove to Stendarr you are worthy to lift the gauntlets once more. Seek out the priests in Coral. Perhaps they can help you. When Sir Juncan died while questing after the boots, I mourned his loss. Now I wonder if perhaps it was a mercy that he left us when he did. It was placed on me for defying the teachings of Stendarr in his very chapel. My entire lineage was ruined by this curse. Whether it is connected to the fate of the gauntlets, I do not know. I have no doubt that they still lie within the chapel of Stendarr in Coral. No mortal man could lift them. We had only the best of intentions. Truly we did. We meant only to serve the Nine and the Empire. It's hard to believe it all went so wrong. Sir Ralvis quested for the mace after Sir Beric's betrayal. He believed that with the mace, he would be able to bring the rest of us together. He stayed in the chapel of Leowyn for months, attempting the test over and over. He hardly ate, hardly slept. In the end, he failed. He left the chapel broken and beaten. Sir Amiel found his body and laid him to rest here at the priory.
So we got quite a lot of
May the
backstory
Nine guide your way.
on everybody here. It's like I said, I know a lot of people kind of poo-poo this quest, but this is deeply interesting. At least it's deeply interesting to me. Okay, this just leads us down to where more of them are laid to rest. Okay. So I think my priority... I think I already talked.
How may I serve you, Commander?
Let's talk to him one more time about these things.
Sir Junkin was lost attempting to find the gauntlets. At least he was spared from the tragedy of the Order's last days.
Notice that he said gauntlets and not boots. That makes me think that there may have been a change in some of the writing of the quest at some point that's not reflected in the recording of the dialogue.
After Beric betrayed us, Sir Ralvus journeyed to the Chapel of Leowyn to attempt Zenithar's test of faith. He tried to reach the mace again and again, failing each time. He became obsessed with it, refusing food or drink for days. When I finally received word of his quest, I went searching for him. But I was too late. Sir Junkin helped me carry his body back here. I failed my friend, and I failed Zenithar. Perhaps you can succeed where Sir Ralvus could not, and redeem us both. May the Nine guide your way.
So I do like this theme of failure and redemption. I think these are interesting concepts to explore in the context of a knightly order. Instead of focusing on their great deeds, their chivalry, their martial prowess, we are faced with their failures in a way like we're faced with their humanity. So I think I want to prioritize getting the armor, the rest of the armor set. I like how level 7 and I'm already about to max out my strength. Okay. Oops. Positioned my fingers a little bit wrong. What's interesting is the first time I played Knights of the Nine, I ran into the people that are also out questing and doing the pilgrimage. And, like, this time I didn't see them. And on top of that, of not seeing them, I, you know, didn't run into them at any of the shrines. Like, I didn't... Oh, look at that. I've never... Look at that. That's so cool. And I'm pretty sure this place gets upgraded as we uncover more of the relics. So one thing I'm wanting to do here is each time I discover a relic, I'd like to come back and see what has changed. All right. Gauntlets. I mean, we can get the mace. Let's go get the boots first. We'll get boots and gloves and mace. And then I'll call the stream there. If that is fine with you, dear viewer, dear listener. Come here, young man. I have this like thing about calling little animals like that, calling them like young men, young ladies. Like I refer to my cat as a young man. Like he'll do anything, and somebody will make a note of what he's doing. I'll be like, well, yeah, he does that because he a young man. Now, okay, I was talking about not remembering much of the pilgrimage, but I remembered something about Kinnereth. I forgot that it was the actual quests for the relics that I was remembering, not the... not the... Okay, so I found this on my other character. So in an earlier stream I found this, and I was talking about this potentially being a shrine to Saint Alessia. But I see now this is part of Knights of the Nine.
Afternoon.
Avita Vesnia.
What brings you to the altar of Kinnereth, my child? You have been in the chapel of Kinnereth from the moment you stepped outdoors. Have you not felt her presence? We gather here to pay tribute to all of the blessings she bestows upon us. You would seek the holy relic Kinnereth has bestowed upon the world. Then you must prove yourself worthy. Kinnereth's creations guard her relic, and you must pass the test before you may be granted the boots. I cannot say what it will be, for I do not know. Kinnereth herself will decide in what manner you shall be tested. All I can do is direct you to the Grove of Trials, and remind you to heed Kinnereth's teachings. Fear and respect nature and all her creations. Indeed, nature itself is Kinnereth's domain. All its creatures are her wards. You would do well to remember this when it comes time for your test.
So, I want to point something out. When she first mentioned the test, I had two dialogue options. One was, asking for more information, and the other one was a refusal. But the way it was written, much like it is here on the screen, is I'm not taking any test. People lament the BioWare dialogue system influence on Fallout 4, and the most emblematic thing about that is, well, there's two approaches to looking at it. One approach is that of the four options, it's always like yes or not right now. So it like when it boils down to it, it's yes or not right now. Like, because they don't want you to be able to refuse to do a quest and then be locked out of doing it. So it's either yes sarcastically, or no, not right now. And then the other thing that people talk about is that sarcasm, the sarcastic remark. You can kind of see it here, I think. And you can really see it in the kind of immature writing in the Dark Brotherhood questline of the things I was pointing out yesterday when I was playing it, of how you have these options to just be extremely over the top, Hail, Sithis, all of that kind of stuff. And it just doesn't fit with the dialogue in the rest of the game. Like when you're working for the Thieves Guild or the Fighters Guild or the Mages Guild, you don't have an option that's just over the top worshipping that guild, if that makes sense. So where's the grove?
Not far from here, to the west, nestled within the great forest, it is a place many would overlook. I warn you that it is unwise to take anyone with you. You should go there alone.
Very well, I shall take this test.
Then proceed directly to the grove, as your test has begun. Kinnereth may choose to guard you along the way. That is up to her. Good luck.
Going
You
on with
too.
you.
Sounds like the Empire has given up on stopping.
My inclination here is, unless my memory of this is wrong, we're going to be attacked by a bear. And I think what we're supposed to do is not kill it. Like, we're supposed to fear and respect nature, but I don't know. Do we take that to mean do not kill the bear? I've reached the Grove of Trials. I shall have to wait to see what Kinnereth has in store for me. Because I think it's like we let this bear whip up on us. Look at him. He a young man. Look at... My health is just not going up. I've got to get some better healing magic. I have acquired the boots of the Crusader. I've completed Sir Junken's quest by recovering the boots of the Crusader. I should continue to search for the relics that the other Ghost Knights were questing for. Let's go ahead and equip those. What broke? It was my boots, funny enough. And these iron greaves that I wasn't wearing? I guess I'm wearing steel. Okay. Where are they? Sorry. They're called boots of the Crusader, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, that fortifies our restoration. That's pretty cool. Yep, it's coming along. The drip. That Pelennal white straight drip. See, I actually do have a quest marker there, so that makes me think... I think I'm right in wanting to visit the Priory each time. Well, outwardly nothing's changed. Ah, yes, it has been cleaned up. Is there anybody here? So, I mentioned I want a desk like this. I also really like this kind of desk as a... I would like something similar to that, or like the lecterns I've pointed out, as a... Like, I would like something I could sit a book on that would hold it at a nice angle to be read. Who was... Was it Sir Junken it mentioned? I have to figure out which one of them is him. It's nice of y'all to stand around all day waiting for me. I mean, you're ghosts. It's not like it bothers you. Sir Junken!
Greetings, Sir Knight.
I've got the boots.
You are an asset to your order. You have claimed the boots, and for this I am grateful.
Okay. What do you have to say about the shield?
Sir Henrik spent his days looking for the shield. He was so determined. We all were in those days. May the Nine guide your way.
Thank you. See, they respect that there's 9. I think so. There was a piece of marketing for this game, like the reveal stream that they did. One of the pieces of that marketing, they talked about this game's connections to Skyrim. About there's just all this stuff in this game that makes things in Skyrim make a lot more sense. And I no, not really. Right? Okay, so it's because we have Priory of the Nine selected. Okay, we want to do Gauntlets next. We want to do Gauntlets, and then tomorrow I'll do Shield and Mace. But I kind of forget what I was talking about because it's getting late and I've had a long day. So you'll have to forgive me for that. Maybe I'll remember it on another occasion. I think I might have been talking about how they respect the 9, the concept of the 9 divines. And then you have, at least with the Prophet, he is saying that he follows the old way, which to me would make more sense if he was an elf, not a human. But this concept of there were 8 divines and then Tiber Septim ascended. We're in a world where this is possible, where this is like accepted as fact by most people. Like this is a fact of the cosmology, but it makes sense that those who would reject it are the elves, right? The elves would reject this, or certain elves, or they would reject it for political reasons. But like when you get to Skyrim, the issue is between elves and humans, and the Empire is kind of the enforcing arm of this.
No, I don't
what?
think we've met. Are you new in town?
Oh, she's seeking me out for the Hack Dirt quest.
Likewise, I'm always glad to meet someone new. Welcome. I'm sure my mother would be glad to meet you as well. My mother owns Northern Goods and Trade in Coral.
Okay, so we can actually, on this character, we'll end up actually doing the Hack Dirt quest because we kind of missed out on that on my other character.
Be seeing you.
Be seeing you. Thank you. Goodbye. Anyway, I was pontificating. But, you know, the Empire is kind of this enforcing arm of this politically motivated attack on freedom of religion in the Empire. And, you know, it has to do with all this political stuff. And then the Nords, with, you know, Tiber Septim being, you know, one of their great heroes, they have a lot invested in him being one of, like, essentially their patron deity. And then telling them that they can't worship him. They can't openly worship him. This is a huge deal. But that's not the same thing as the Prophet saying the 8 and 1. Because he's saying he worships the original 8 and acknowledges Tiber Septim's ascension. But you have these weird moments, even within Skyrim, of there are people who refuse, like they reject Tiber Septim. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. The gauntlets are too heavy to move. Okay, let's speak to the priest. He's around here somewhere. I think this might be him. Standing with his back to this fella.
What brings you here, my son?
Oh, your audio's broken.
Ah, yes. The gauntlets have been here for ages. I know only the basic story behind them. They're more of a novelty these days. My only real involvement with them these days is keeping the youngsters from hurting themselves trying to pick the gauntlets up. What is your interest in them, if I may ask?
I've come to retrieve them.
Oh, I'm afraid that's quite impossible. They don't move, not even a bit, as if they are the heaviest things in the world. Don't you know the story behind them? I'm not familiar with all the details, but I know roughly what happened.
But see, like, our options here are, I'd like to know their story, and I don't care. I want them.
Yes, well, I don't know the whole thing. A great many years ago, a knight of the old order did something terrible, and the gauntlets just fell off. They dropped to the floor right where he stood, and no one could lift them. It was a sign of the curse placed upon this knight by Stendar, I think. That curse still lingers on today, in fact. Poor Kellen.
Who is Kellen?
Oh, why? He's a descendant of that very knight from so long ago. The curse has affected his family all these years. He suffers from it now. He came here from Hammerfell seeking a cure, but, well, there's really nothing that can be done for him, I think. He may know more of the story than I. Perhaps you should speak with him, if he's feeling well enough.
Alright, let me see if I can fix his dialogue. Like, there's something fishy here.
It's my pleasure. Please continue.
Yeah, I have no idea why that was. Like, I had a suspicion it had something to do with his positioning. Like, I was talking to him through the wall.
It's a horrible thing, truly. One cannot help but pity those such as Kellen, who have such a burden placed on them through no fault of their own. But if it is the will of the Nine, then there is little that can be done.
So there's an interesting theme to this part of the quest about the concept of, like, original sin or sins of the father, in a way, where you have this descendant who has nothing to do with this being punished for this, which doesn't make a lot of sense cosmologically in the game. So you have a god, you have one of the Aedra just punishing an entire family for something someone did long ago. It's, I feel like in a universe, in this universe specifically, I feel like in a universe like this, there should be chance for that family to be redeemed. And perhaps the story is that generation after generation, these men of this family have failed to redeem the family name, to redeem themselves. There's something you could explore really well with that, but it's just not there. Because the theme is very much, it's a very surface level thing.
The gauntlets have been here far longer than any of us. I don't expect that to ever change. They'll almost certainly be here long after we're all gone. Certainly after Kellen's family has died out.
Tell me more about Kellen.
He's down in the chapel hall, resting. You may speak to him if you like.
Okay, tell me about the Prophet. Do you know about him?
The church has taken no official position on his teaching yet, but from the reports I've heard, he may be truly inspired by the divines.
Interesting. You have any rumors for me?
I heard that someone saw the ghost of Lord Glindrel again, along the road to Bruma. I think I'll avoid that road at night for a while.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Alright, we need to go down into the Undercroft. Or not in the Undercroft, but... is this the Undercroft? I don't know. Alright, where is he? He's convalescing somewhere down here. Look at this. Y'all live like this? Hey, buddy.
What is it? Is there a cure? Has Arelder found a cure? I know there's something he's not telling me. Bye. Come back to see the doomed man.
Oh my gosh, I can't deal with this.
It's my pleasure. Please continue. You too.
Why is it like this?
I hope I can help.
I'm just gonna have to put up with it, I guess. Tell me about the curse.
Heard it happened. Terrible curse. Been in the family almost longer than anyone can remember. When I was younger, I could live with it. Wasn't so bad. But it's only gotten worse over time. I'd come here to the place it all happened, in the hopes that something could be done. I fear I haven't much time left otherwise. Our elder has let me stay, mostly out of pity, I think. But there's something else. I swear he knows more than he tells.
Tell me more about a Relder.
I've seen plenty of pity in people's eyes over the years. I grew up recognizing it. But with Arelda, there's something else there. And when he speaks to me, there are times I'd swear he sounds apologetic. Guilty, even. Why would that be? What reason does he have to hold back information? I know I'm a doomed man one way or the other. Speak to him if you can. Convince him to tell me what he knows as a dying man's last wish. You've seen them, I assume. The only evidence of what happened so many years ago. Do you know that I thought perhaps I could lift them? That somehow this curse would be lifted if I could pick them up. I tried for hours, until my whole body ached, and I could barely move. I lay there on the floor next to them, weeping. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I've been at the end of my rope for far too long to be ashamed of anything. Be seeing you.
So there's also an element of failure when it comes to his story.
Well met. I cannot face him. I know what might be done for him, but I haven't the will to do it. I wish I could help him. Truly I do. But I cannot muster the strength to damn myself on his behalf.
What are you talking about?
The curse. I know what would lift it, but I cannot do it. The only way to free Kellen of his curse is to take it on myself. I am not strong enough to do this, and so I am a failure. I fail Kellen every time I speak to him, and I fail Stendar every time I pray to him and do not ask for the power to lift the curse. Do you know one who would do such a thing? One who would pray at this chapel's altar, pray to Stendar for the power to lift this curse?
You should do it because you are a priest of Stendar, and you are refusing to embody his mercy.
I've told you, the only way to lift the curse from Kellen is to pray to Stendar for the power to free him. But that means taking the curse on yourself. You'll be marked for life, as will all your children and your children's children.
And see, there's an element of he is failing to be merciful out of fear. You know, like Kellen's ancestor failed to be merciful out of impatience. So there's, you know, obviously there's this overarching theme of failure with the Knights of the Nine, but we see here a priest that is failing to fulfill his duties, he is scared of being merciful.
You too.
But you know what? Okay, it is this one. Yes, I will pray for to Stendar for the power to lift the curse. I've prayed at the altar in the chapel of Stendar, and have been granted the ability to lay hands on Kellen. I need to see him at once. So did you hear how that... Where is it? On touch.
Without question.
See how loud they are? and see how they drop off the moment I get down here? That's what's happening with these other voices. It is treating it like there's a wall between us.
Well met.
Curse of the Consumed added. I've lifted the curse from Kellen, which means taking it on myself. As a result, I am weary and my fatigue has been affected. With the curse lifted, I can now retrieve the gauntlets of the Crusader.
How did you? I feel good. I feel good. I don't feel like death. I feel like running.
Smell that air! Look at him go. And he's discovered his voice once again. Okay.
Look at me.
Walk with virtue, friend.
You're in good company, friend. Welcome.
I've recovered the gauntlets of the Crusader. Completed Sir Casimir's quest. By recovering the gauntlets of the Crusader, I should continue the search for the relics that the Ghost Knights were questing for. Let's talk to the priest.
I can't believe you were willing to do that for Kellen. To sacrifice your own well-being without hesitation. What business do I have acting as a priest if I'm not willing to do all I can in helping those who need it? Perhaps I need to rethink my calling.
I've already received blessing. Oh no. So I do wonder if, like with that, oh, it damages your, it damages 5 points. So little.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the boots. And now we have the gauntlets. Look at that. We look fantastic. Aren't there... Just take the pants off. Aren't there greaves for this? I think there are. Surely. Okay. We are going to return to the Priory and kind of check in there. But as I said, that's where I want to end for tonight. Tomorrow, before I come back, before we come back to this character and this quest, I am going to do inventory management, things like that. I'm going to try to keep that off stream, and if I want to grind levels or anything like that, I'm going to try to do that off stream so that we can really focus on the Knights of the Nine content. And apparently the Hack Dirt quest, since that was brought up to us. So, Sir Casimir. Oh, the tall ones? There he is.
I am at your service, Commander.
We don't have an
May
op.
your sword strike true.
Was it not Casimir? See, it just says... There's no... No, I'm pretty sure it was Casimir. I'm pretty sure that was the voice line. Or that was, sorry, I'm pretty sure that was the voice actor that I remembered it being. Alright, anyway, as I said, we've got most of the armor. And tomorrow we'll get the mace and the shield and everything else. And we will progress this quest. But until tomorrow, I hope you have a good night or a good day whenever you're listening to this or watching this. And I hope to see you on the next stream, where we will continue our path of becoming a holy crusader for the 9 divines, for the 8 and 1. But again, I want to thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.